right? So whatever the data it is and what kind of the data it is. So our main job role is to be used to process the data, right? So when you are working, so the first thing for your project, the first question in your interview is, so from where you are good getting the data. So without this question, nobody will start the project and nobody will start the interview process, right? The first question is, first we will ask about your project, right? So what you're doing in the project, and immediately the next question is from where you're getting the data to process, because our main role is in the Hadoop used to process the data. After all, we're working with a big data, right? So we have some data should be available in SDFS, so that we are going to process the data with a Hadoop, right? When you are going to process the data, right? So we have the different processing tools are there. So with that one, we are going to process the data. That's we see we have the best thing, we can use a map reduce or we can use a yarn to process the data, right? Fine, the data processing is one part. Before that, so we have to get the data. It's a data collection, right? So we have the different ways to collect the data from the different external resources. Right. So how you're collecting the data based upon your client, based upon your client's project. Suppose some clients you're having the data into the RDBMS, so you have to get the data from the production database and you need to process the data into the Hadoop cluster. Some people you have the data will be traveled through network data storages. The servers are available, the data is available in the server, the storage is available in the server, and we have to collect the data from the server. Or sometimes we need to stream live data to the SDFS. In the sense, see, suppose generally we have the data is coming. Suppose I just want to get whatever the tweets are in this moment. I want to get into my SDFS, right? Means I want to stream the data simultaneously from a server to SDFS, or the data is available somewhere in the disk, right? So you have to upload the data into the cluster to process it. So we have the different ways to collect the data into the SDFS. One thing in that one, also one way is your data is available in a production database and you're trying to get the data from the production database to the Hadoop cluster to process it. Why necessity here is, your production database is having, suppose you're getting every day some 500 gigabytes of data is coming to your production database, and when you're trying to write a query or you want to write some programming on that 500 GB of data, your RDBMS doesn't suits for your requirement. You can able to run a query, but how much time you have to wait to get the output, and how about the tuning, the fast running the jobs, right? So you can't, so if you're getting 500 GBN every day, in a month it goes to 30 terabytes of 15 terabytes of data. See, the analyzing that much of data in your RDBMS, it's a highly difficult thing, right? So what is the alternate for the client? So he has to move the data to the Hadoop cluster and then he has to process the data. So his role is now he has to move the data to the Hadoop cluster. So to move the data to the Hadoop cluster from the production database, so we have a component that is available is a Sqoop. Sqoop is one component which is used to bulk data transfer between the RDBMS and Hadoop cluster. That's an SDFS, or you're using a mapper. It's a mapper file system. So that's the Hadoop environment. So you can say the Hadoop cluster. So from the production database, we are getting the data to be processed. So that in that one, so one way we can use a component is Sqoop, right? Sqoop is comes under the umbrella of Apache Hadoop, Apache subproject. So where by default, if you configure in a Cloudera, Hortonworks or the mapper, so this by default Sqoop is integrated into that environment. So we can directly start using Sqoop. Or if you are using Hadoop from the Apache, so we have to manually download and configure the Sqoop in your Hadoop distribution. Okay. So finally, why we use a Sqoop, right? Sqoop we are using to bulk data transfer between Hadoop cluster and the RDBMS. Uh, RDBMS in the sense, you are having the database somewhere running in some node, right? It's in a pseudo distributed mode. Like in our machine, it's a local host. Otherwise, if it's a multi-node cluster you have configured, it's a sorry, it's a production database, it's somewhere it's running. Now I need to connect to that machine where the database is running, and I have to connect through the Sqoop connector. I'll connect to the database, and I'll get the data from the database, and I use a command, Sqoop command, to import the data to the SDFS, right? So this is what we are going to do, and as a Sqoop import process to import the data. But what you have to remember here is Sqoop always works with the RDBMS. Sqoop never works with the DBMS. So if you clearly distinguish between the differences between DBMS and RDBMS, right, you can identify why it's not possible for us to use for the DBMS. It's a DBMS, it's not a relational database, right? So you can see MS Access are the Fax Pro, so where there are so multiple DBMSs are available. So we never connect to DBMS, and Sqoop particularly supports RDBMS. We always are going to connect to only the RDBMS. Okay, so RDBMS in the sense it can be in any RDBMS. Either it can be MySQL, or it can be Teradata, or it can be MySQL, SQL Server, Teradata, DB2, right, PostgreSQL, Netezza, right, any database. If the connector is available to connect to the database from the Hadoop cluster, yes, we can use that connector to connect to the database, and we'll import the records to the SDFS. If the connector is not available for a database, right, so then we have to write a manual connector. So we'll have a different maven repositories are available. So get the code, templates are available, MapReduce code templates are available. Get the template and change the code as per your database requirements, and then we can run a jar, so that we are going to get a connector manually to connect to a database where the connectors are not available. See, by default, as of now, the connectors are available for most of the databases. Uh, right? If it's not available, you need to get the connector. Suppose if your database is MySQL, so you have the connectors available in this place, right? From this link, get the connector. So by default, you'll get the MySQL connector in all the Hadoop distributions. If the right, so the default connector along with the Sqoop, you'll get MySQL. And when it is coming to Oracle or SQL Server or PostgreSQL or Teradata, right? So I have provided the links to get the connectors. Please download these connectors, right, and copy these connectors to the Sqoop home under the lib directory, or just copy to the Sqoop home, right? I'll show you, right, what is a Sqoop home means. It's a user lib Sqoop directory, right? So copy this connector to this Sqoop home, right? Then you can able to use Sqoop connector to connect to a database. Okay, so just a second. Okay, so now, so we use a Sqoop. So Sqoop, the completely, you can say that it's a SQL in a Hadoop is a Sqoop, right? So SQL plus Hadoop is a Sqoop. So what we are going to do in a Sqoop? So we are loading the bulk data into the Hadoop from the production system, right? So the production in the sense your production database. So we are loading the data from the production database to the Hadoop cluster, and after that, so we are passing the data through MapReduce. Here, suppose if you don't have the Sqoop available, okay, consider you don't have the Sqoop available, then we have manually we have to write a MapReduce program to connect to the database, right, and get the data from the production database to the Hadoop cluster. It's a difficult and complex job, right? So it involves huge consumption of system resources, and it takes a lot of time to run and execute. Most of the time it's a MapReduce job. The debugging is very difficult, right? So so without Sqoop, if we can able to do that with a MapReduce, but so there are the complexity as well as execution or the debugging issues are there. So and again we have the different databases are available, so connecting to each database will require its individual parameters. So instead of that, so we have Sqoop is available, right? So we use the Sqoop to load bulk data from the RDBMS and process it through Hadoop processing tools. Hadoop processing tools in the sense we are using Hive or we are using Pig. Yes, Abhishek. Are unstructured to the structured, so we have to use the Sqoop, right? So we can directly import the data from the structured database to the unstructured database. We can, in the sense, we can directly import the records from the MySQL to HBase. Okay, so now directly you can move the data, sorry, you can send a copy of the data from the RDBMS to HBase. So we don't need to go into the data to the HBase, SDFS, from SDFS to HBase. So we have a direct connecting mechanism available where we can import the data to the HBase. Either you can import the complete database or complete table data, or you can able to import some specific rows are under the where class. We can able to import the data from the RDBMS to the HBase, and we can also import based upon the primary key. We can import the primary key column as a row key in HBase. Both are available. Suppose if MySQL you have a field which is identified as a primary key, so when you are going to import this table into the HBase, so in the HBase too the same field can be considered as a row key, right? Here we call it as a primary key, in HBase it is a row key, right? So the primary key is like right, in the table the first field we use a primary key, so all the things, all the fields are going to be identified. Here we can say the family is available in HBase, right? So each column is some having some family of columns, so where they are going to identify with a row key, right? So here what I'm saying is we can directly able to import the data from the production database to the HBase, right? So that you can give a security to the data, because generally a few clients doesn't allow the data to be available in SDFS because of the security concern. But if the data is available in HBase, so it's a more security is provided to the data, right? And we can use like Java and Oracle, right? How we are using, so the application we are going to write the program in Java, and the backend database is available in Oracle, right? Here we are using Hive and HBase together, where Hive is used to process the data, and for the Hive the background data or the database is available in HBase. So we can use Hive and HBase together, like how we are using Oracle line, Java and Oracle or .NET and SQL Server, right? How we are using in the Hadoop, we use Hive and HBase together. So where the processing is done in Hive, the programming and the data is available in HBase. Okay.
Ajay, I have one query like
Download this file. So it will be downloaded under the downloads directory, right? So this and go. So now download it. So it will be downloaded into your downloads directory, right? After it's downloaded, right, just go to the downloads through the terminal, cd downloads, right? Here you'll have the Sqoop downloaded file. So just go for the admin privileges, su Cloudera. Okay, so copy the Sqoop tarball to the Hadoop home, that is usr lib Hadoop. Okay, copy it to lib Hadoop, then this tarball is copied to the user lib Hadoop directory. After that, run a command to extract this. Run the command tar hyphen, what it is, Raju? XVF, right? So run this command, then this tarball is going to be extracted, then you will get a Sqoop directory like this. Okay, then you will get a Sqoop directory. in the user lib. Once you extract this, you'll get the Sqoop directory, right? So where it is, okay. So just go
Yeah.
get into Sqoop. If you type ls, so these are the Sqoop files. Then after that, what you have to do, you have to download the connector. Suppose you are trying to connect to the SQL server, then SQL server connector is available. Just download the connector. Yes, SQL server connector for Cloudera, right? So they are giving you the Quest connector. Okay, just download this connector and copy the connector to where, under user lib Sqoop, right? So I have used here MySQL connector, right? Just connect, download the connector, then copy this connector to cp user lib Sqoop directory. That's it. You no need to do anything to configure the connection, right? Just download the connection connector and copy the connector to the directory user lib Sqoop. That's it. Now you can able to connect to that particular database, right? So to connect to the SQL server, just download this, right? So it will be downloaded into the downloads directory, then copy it to the user lib Sqoop directory. Then you'll have the SQL server connector is available for this uh, HDFS to connect to the SQL server. Before that, you need to have SQL server in your cluster. Is SQL server should be up and run, right? To connect to that particular database. Okay, right now, so we have the connector is available and the connect, right? So database is available and we have the Sqoop, right? So okay, I'm gonna show you how I'm connecting to the MySQL. Okay, take a terminal, go to cd slash var. Okay, so I have a process, I need to start the MySQL server in the cluster. So it's a MySQL d underscore save, and I write the ampersand, press enter. Right now it's saying that permission is denied, right? So I need to have admin priv. So login as admin, assume password is Cloudera, press enter. Then now start the mysql d underscore save, press enter, right? So already mysql d process started, it's saying that already exists, right? So I'm taking on the terminal. Now I want to start the MySQL, so just write MySQL. I want to connect as a user root, right? So manual password hyphen p. If you ask the password, password is root to connect to MySQL, right? Now I'm in MySQL. Okay, so to check the databases, show databases, right? So use one database, that is test. Okay, now I am in, I have started MySQL and MySQL is running in my machine, right? So take another terminal to work with the Sqoop, right? To check the Sqoop version available in this Hadoop cluster, just run the command Sqoop space version. Okay, when you run the command Sqoop space version, now I am using the Sqoop version 1.4.3 in a cdh 4.4.0, right? This is the Sqoop version which I am using, right? So if you run the command Sqoop space help, so it will show you the all the Sqoop available commands, right? So we have Sqoop code gen is available, so create hive table, eval, export, right? So we have the different commands are available. Okay, so we are going to work with the all these commands. Okay, so to connect to right? So what we have to do, just we'll see that. As of now, I'll show you some test run, how I'm going to connect to. So just write the Sqoop. Okay, I just want to see what are the databases are there in MySQL. Okay, so what you have to do, just Sqoop, right? You don't know the command, then write Sqoop help, right? See here we have a command is available, Sqoop list databases, right? So what it will do, it list available databases which are in a database server, correct? So just write Sqoop, then space list databases, right? Then write the connection string. I'll teach you connection string after some time, right? So write the connection string something connect JDBC, okay, colon, I'm using the database MySQL, so MySQL is available in a local host, right? Then press enter. Okay, so these are the databases are available, right? One is a information underscore schema, another one is a test. You want to see what are the tables are there in a database test, so the command is sqoop space list tables, press enter. Okay, so right here database name. Okay, so these are the tables which are available in test database in MySQL. See here, right? If you write select start from test, sorry, show tables, right? So these are the tables available in database test, right? So the same thing we can use, we can run with the sqoop command, sqoop space list tables. Okay, so how to run a sqoop command, then to run a sqoop command, so first write the sqoop, then write the sqoop command, which command you want to use. After that you have to write the connection string, right? So what is a connection string? Connection string is a connection which is specifies how you are going to connect to the database. Okay, so suppose I want to connect to a database which is MySQL, right? So now this connection uses a mechanism called JDBC connection string, right? So either it can be MySQL or Oracle or SQL Server, so any connector, right? So what it will do, it will use a JDBC connection method to connect to the database. So that just write sqoop, right? Suppose if you want to import the data from the database, just write sqoop import, then write the connection string here. So the connection string always starts with the keyword connect. Okay, so I want to connect to the database through JDBC, so write JDBC, right? So which database you want to connect to, write the database name. Suppose I want to connect to the MySQL, then write MySQL. Or if you want to connect to the SQL server, then write SQL server, right? Or you want to connect to the,
Ajay?
yes, just second Raju, right? Now
Okay,
write
sure.
the db2, whatever the database, write the database name MySQL. Now where MySQL is available, if it is available in local host or you configure somewhere, right, in a production database, it will be this of different location, right? So enter the data name of the server where the database running. Okay, so write this one. So in my case it is a local host. Okay, sqoop import, then write the connect, then write the connection string, right? So which database you want to connect to, write the database name, right? From this database which table data you want, so write the table name. Okay, and to connect to the MySQL, so what is the username you have, right? The username, right? So root, and what is the password, then you have to write the password. But did we prefer to write the password in the command? No, correct? So instead of this, we'll write -p so that it will manually ask the user to enter the password. Suppose if you don't want to write the password here, just write -p. So whenever you write -p, it will manually ask the user to enter the password. So there you have to enter the password. right? So just write the Sqoop space Sqoop command, then write the connection string, right? Then if you are going to import, write the table name, and to connect to the MySQL, so what is the username you're having and what is the password for that. Just run this command. Okay, so I'll show you this here. Cleared. I'm going to run here. Just a second, let me delete if anything test is available. Hadoop fs-rmr test. Before importing, I just want to delete any test is there in SDFS. Okay, now I'm going to import. Just write Sqoop space import, then write connect jdbc colon mysql colon / localhost. Okay, and what's the database name? Test. Then write hyphen table test. Right. So I'm writing hyphen m1. So I'll teach you what is hyphen m and 1. Okay, now it is trying to connect to the database. Right now it started importing the process. See, I got an error. Okay, let me check where the error is. Right, so start connecting. So it started connecting, right? MySQL. Second, let me check that the data node is running or not. Right, jdbc colon mysql colon / right, where it is available, localhost. What is the database name? Test. Right, so which command I want to run? Now import this, right? Sqoop space import, then write the connection string. Suppose Nageshwar, if you want to use Oracle, then write here Oracle. So if you are using Oracle, you need to have the connector in the Sqoop home. Right, here I'm using MySQL, so I have MySQL connector is available in a Sqoop home. Right, Sqoop import, then write the connection string, database name. Right, so number of mappers, press enter. Right, just again. What's saying that? Let me check what is the error it is. Right, access denied for the user at the localhost test. Right, fine. Let me check other the database. Then right, connect to the MySQL. So to connect to MySQL, MySQL hyphen view hyphen root hyphen p root show databases. Right, I'll take the sample. Sorry, here I wrote test. Okay, see, I'm running this Sqoop import again. Just write Sqoop space import. Okay, I want to import from the MySQL database to the SDFS. So I'm writing Sqoop space import, then write the connection string. Right, so the connection string you have to write hyphen, then write connect. Right, which method it is using? JDBC method. So write JDBC colon. So which database you are trying to connect it to? Write the database name. right? Where this MySQL is available, or write the host name, right? In my case, it's available in a local host. So I wrote the host name is a local host, and which database you're connected to, test. Okay. Now write what is the table name, right? I want to get the table name test, right? How many number of processes are the mappers you want to run, right? I'll let you know what is -m1 later. Okay, and then press enter. Okay, so it started importing. It's an empty table, so it's retrieved 0 records. Let me check here. Select start from test. It's an empty table. Okay, I use on the table name Sam. Oh, I'll insert some data. Insert into test values. Right, so we have a table new test, right? I'll write the table name new test here, right? Table name is new test -m space 1. Press enter. Okay, so now it returned 67 records, right? How to check that? So when a Sqoop it's completed import, the Sqoop will create a directory in SDFS. So the table name in MySQL will become a directory name in SDFS. So what's the direct table name? New test. So here the directory name is a new test. So it will create a directory with the name new test. So we can check that in user slash cloudera slash new test, right?
स्पेस लगा के फिर माइनस
Right, with this test is created.
गलत लिखो सर आपको 192.168.1.1
Right, user my new test. The location is right. So just write user. So this is my host name, right? My. So here write the user space. Okay. So it created a part file. So if you run this Hadoop space fsfn cat new test fn part fm hyphen 00000. Okay. So this is how we imported the records to the SDFS. Okay.
Hello.
Yes, Abhishek.
Yeah, Ajay, I just want to know one thing. Like right now, the destination is SGFS. If we want to directly import to HBase, then
Yes, we have the separate commands available that we'll see in the coming sessions.
okay,
Okay.
okay, okay, sure,
So
sure.
we'll have everything, right? I'm going to show you SDFS, Hive, and HBase.
Okay, 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 sure. Bottom में right side में जा.
Okay, fine. Okay, okay then, fine. So as of now,